Hello and welcome to the Empower Her Play podcast. My name is Yashmin, this is Shafia, and this is Salma. And today we're going to talk about a very important subject that I don't think our community talks about enough. It's just something that our friend here, Salma, has a journey that she's been on. And we wanted to get her insight and her personal sort of story as to what she's been through and how that's impacted you. So, Sal, I'm not going to ask too many questions, but if you want to start and then we'll...
No, but absolutely go for it. And I think this is exactly where we go wrong. We don't even want to mention the word cancer. We don't want to say
I avoided saying that.
Nobody wants
intro,
to say
right?
cancer. The number of times people say, oh, I heard you're unwell, but nobody wants to use the word cancer, or it's the big C. No, let's say cancer. Yeah. Let's say cancer. And for me, it becomes less scary when we use the word. But I think it's almost a cultural thing as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I guess for those who don't know, I went through cancer almost 8 years ago, at the age of 32, diagnosed with breast cancer. But alhamdulillah, I'm here today. And I think that's the most important thing. And that's the key message that I want people to realise. But I think along that journey, there was so many things that came to light, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think for me, it was you became a trustee before you started working as an office manager, you were a trustee with MSA. Yeah. And you were about to be appointed and I phoned you up, or you phoned me and said, Yash, I can't do it. And I goes, oh, why? She goes, you goes, oh, I've got to tell you something. And I remember exactly where I was. I was at the Kia Oval. I was going to an event and I was just on my way in and you broke the news to me and I was like, nah, man, she's got that wrong. Yeah. How can she have cancer at 32?
That's it. But you were one of the nicest responses I got, because when I told everyone else, and I don't know whether maybe we weren't as close, but we'd known each other a few years at that point. We'd just done the interviews for trustee and you were like, come on board. Yeah. And I was actually really looking forward to it. It was a good point in my life. Like, you get to that point where you're thinking, my daughter's 2, she's going to go nursery soon. I can start doing things for myself again. So it was that point where you're thinking, I'm young, I'm going to get on with things. And this is a turning point, isn't it? Even thinking about more children or going back to work and all of those kind of things. So it was exciting. And I remember having to call you thinking, oh my God, I'm letting her down. No. And I remember exactly where I was. Actually, I was in my brother's house and I remember going to the living room and I was like, Yash, I've got to tell you something. And I love Yash's response, because her response was, I don't care almost, but I'm still going to give you more work to do. And I don't know where that came from, Yash, but that was part of what saved me. So thank you for that, really, because everybody else went, I'm going to wrap you up in cotton wool and you're going to lie down and you're not going to move. And if you don't get up again, we're going to bury you, right? but that's literally how the conversation was with everyone else. I told everyone else, they cried. It was me comforting them. But you were very much notes out, like, it's okay, but I'll give you stuff and you're going to do it from home and you're going to be all right and you're just going to get on with it. And I remember that and thinking, well, she's got some insight that I clearly don't have. But it really did save me. And I think...
Take us back a little bit, because obviously you'd found out then, you'd known the news for a little bit, but how did you discover you had cancer?
So it was during the time my dad was really unwell. So when there's a lot of studies that show there's emotional connection with illnesses. Yeah. And I'm a true believer that there is. So Dad was ill on and off for a few years, actually. But this was like towards the end of his life. And we were busy. And in October, I remember finding a lump. And it's on the side of my breast, but it was more towards the armpit. So you kind of think, it's not, it is, that kind of stuff. And I remember going to the doctors. And again, this is another thing where the nurse saw me. It wasn't even the GP. Nurse saw me. She went, you're too young. It's nothing. It's just changes. You've had a baby, blah, blah, blah. Off you go. And that's exactly what you need to hear, isn't it? That's what you want to hear. Yeah. She said it's fine. She's an expert. Don't know how she's an expert with her, naked eyes and her hands, but she is. And I was happy to leave and so distracted with everything that was going on with my dad, I guess. And then December he died. And then in February, this lump was bigger and more obvious, and it felt like an egg. All I can describe it as a boiled egg. The size of a boiled egg, I would say.
Was it hard as well?
Like a boiled egg. Boiled egg without the shell isn't hard like the shell, but it's got that softness of tissue, isn't it? And it was a hard lump. And my husband's the forever pessimist in this situation. So I'll get it checked out. And I was like, I've just had a baby. You're breastfeeding, all of these kind of things. It's nothing. This just changes. It doesn't matter. But I think it got to about February time, or actually before February, went back to the GP. Because it was back to me again, because Dad had died now. And then suddenly I'm awake and I'm remembering, oh, I still exist. And
But
I
did
went
you
to
notice any other symptoms?
Nothing
Apart
else.
from that?
Nothing else.
No
And I
tiredness, no feeling
nothing at
unwell,
all, no.
nothing.
What other symptoms?
So that's the thing. When you think of, when you Google and you're like, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I'm got a pain here, my son, it will say cancer, cancer, cancer. So everyone assumes you're going to be unwell. But actually, I'd say I was at the peak of my life at that point, peak of my health at that point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't say I was unwell or tired or I was falling ill or something was wrong. Nothing at all. Just the lump. Just the lump. And those lumps do happen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, especially when you've had a baby.
Yeah.
I remember always struggling to feed her from that side.
Yeah.
And the doctor went, that's normal. Everyone always has, you know,
yeah.
one side that they can feed from and the other side that they can't. So those things were very kind of like, you know, it's okay. I remember speaking to my sister and she's like, oh, I had similar thing. Don't worry about it. It's all of those things. You get
So it's everything that you want to hear,
yeah,
really,
exactly.
isn't it?
And so I wasn't worried at all. And I went the second time I went back to the GP, I think because of my husband more than anything. And the GP saw me and he went, I'm going to send you to the hospital, the breast care unit, to get a mammogram done. And that day it should have really clicked. It should have clicked because I went in for the mammogram. I think it's a nurse that does the mammogram and she's like, stay there, we're going to get a doctor in. And you know, everyone's face drops. Everyone's face drops. Doctor comes in and goes, we're going to do an ultrasound as well. And we're going to take some biopsies. And I've taken one biopsy, but I want to take some more biopsies. And everyone's face was just like this. And do you know what I was talking to her about? Swimming. I was like, you know, let me say, we do swimming. Do you want to join us for swimming and stuff? And she's like, yeah, sure, but let us just do this. And I was there for ages, right? And biopsies are really painful. If you don't know what biopsy is, they put a needle through and they take tissue out. And so I was in so much pain. Yeah, I didn't let my husband take me to the hospital. Don't worry, I'll drive home myself. So I've jumped back in the car, come home, and they say there's a 2 weeks. So you wait 2 weeks for your result. And within 2 weeks, they asked me to come back. And that day, you know, you go into the waiting room and I'm sitting there and I took my daughter with me because there I am, the forever optimist. Yeah. It's nothing. And my husband's like, I'm coming with you. And I was like, you don't need to come with me. It's absolutely, no, he goes, I'm coming with you. And he's done his research and I think he knew what was coming. And I remember sitting in the waiting room playing with my daughter and all of that. And the doctor calls me in. There's a doctor, 2 doctors and the breast care nurse. And I thought, why is there so many people for them to say, see you later, Salma. Like, don't worry about it. And I remember the lady going, you have cancer. And that moment was like those Macmillan adverts. You know, when you watch those adverts and the whole room just spins. Yeah. And literally, I'm telling you, the room is spinning. Like, I can remember that moment where everything just spun. And the first thing I said was, but my dad just died. Sorry, and that's going to get to it because that was the only thing I could think of. But my dad just died. And this is not the right time for you to give me this news. Yeah. My dad died, right? And I cried and I looked at my husband. I had to check he was all right. So I'm like, are you all right? Because that's what it is. You become autopilot as well. I was like, is he okay? Because, you know, I have to look after him. Is my daughter all right? All of that kind of stuff. So that was the whirlwind of diagnosis, I guess. And they give you so much information and they were talking and talking. And I was just like, oh my God, just shut up now. And then I remember just sitting there and we cried for ages. We just sat in the hospital and we cried. And then we went home and my first thing was, how do I tell my mum? She's just lost dad and how do I now break this news to her, you know? So that was really hard. And I remember sitting in the house for a bit thinking, let me absorb this. But you can't absorb it. But I was like, I can't wait. And I called my sister and she went, if you need to, she was really good as well. She was just like, it's okay, Sal, we'll get through it. What they said, blah, blah. She's very diplomatic
logic,
like you. Yeah, very logical,
logic.
but she's breaking, you know? Yeah. But she thought, for Sal, I have to be. And then she goes, if you want to wait, tell mum later or tell her together, we can do that. But I thought, how can I hold this for my mum? Yeah. You know, and I remember going round, telling my mum, oh my God, that was hard.
Because you're the youngest.
That's it. I'm
you're
the youngest. This is it.
That must have been really hard for
and
her.
It was breaking the news. But then, you know, you're so worried about everybody else. So I think maybe that's a coping mechanism because you stop worrying about yourself. It's about, is she okay? Is he coping? Is everybody all right?
And I think, is it because you don't want to accept it as well?
Maybe. I think that's all. You know, if you're busy, then you don't have to worry about it. Yeah, exactly. So telling everyone, you know, all of that. And then the first couple of days went and everyone was coming round and it's just so mad, isn't it? It's just so mad.
It was stage 4.
No, stage three.
Stage three.
Yeah.
And what does that mean to the viewers? That may be
So
watching?
stages can sound very crazy, and I guess when most people think of cancer, they just think cancer. They don't even know about the stages. So there are different things. There's stages and there's grades.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
So when it comes to stages, stage 1 is the least and stage 4 is the most. And stage 1 means that it's localized in one area and it's small. Stage 2 means it's still localized, but it's bigger. Stage 3 means it's gone beyond the first organ. And stage 4 means it's spread to several organs. So it's quite a big deal. So you go through scans and loads of scans. I went around all of London, different hospitals doing scans. And at one point they thought it was stage 4 because they make those errors.
That's what you said to me.
Yeah, because they went through one scan and he went, there's some shadowing in your liver. And that day I just thought, I'm going to die. That's the only thing you can think is I'm going to die, you know?
And your baby was only 2.
She's 2. She's a baby. Like, her life hasn't even begun.
Yeah.
My life hasn't even begun.
No.
You know, and I thought, oh my God, what do you do with that news as well? What do you do with that information saying you might not live? And I guess at the time I didn't know what stage 4 meant. And for anyone who's listening, who's going for a diagnosis or knows someone who is, stage 4 does not mean you're going to die.
No, and we have a friend whose husband was literally told he hasn't got long to live, and alhamdulillah, with someone's dua, he's alive and he's doing well and
Everyone's
flourishing.
duas,
So don't be disheartened if they tell you that's it. Allah, at the end of the day, it's Allah's will, isn't it? Right?
Absolutely.
He's the one who controls
this is it. And we get really frightened by this. And they are frightening diagnoses.
Exactly.
And there's people who are living with cancer. That's another thing.
But they don't even know.
No. As in, you know, you have it, but you can live many, many years with the cancer. You can keep it in bay with medication, with treatment and so on. So people live like that as well. Like you would live with a heart condition, you can live with cancer as well. So stage 4 does not mean that. Things have progressed and changed so much as well. So mine was stage 3, meant it had been in the breast tissue, but it had spread to the lymph nodes. So lymph nodes are kind of like where your circulation takes place, and they kind of spread out everywhere.
It's filtration system,
it's like your filtration system. So it'd gone to my armpits and into the arm and so on. So that made it a bit more scary, a bit more harder and so on. And then with younger people, it's more aggressive. So it's spreading faster, it's growing faster. Yeah. And so that's the thing, because the same way our body is stronger, the cancer is also stronger. And often people don't realize it. They think, oh, you're young, you'll be okay. Yeah. But actually, it can be more aggressive. It's actually more aggressive. So that then led to treatment.
Did you do chemo?
Yeah. So I did 9 months of chemotherapy first for 6 months. So 8 sessions of that over 6 months. So they do it like every 3 weeks. Then I had surgery, and then I had radiotherapy for I think about 20 sessions or something. So that was like the whole year. Literally, can you imagine? February I was diagnosed, started treatment in March, and then December I rang the bell. So you get to do all of that and stuff. I say it like it's a good thing. Like, I got to ring the bell. But it is, you do it. And I just thought, okay, that year, 2017, I can't erase it, but I just want to put it at the back of.
People say chemo is really
aggressive.
It
is. Chemo is probably the worst thing. If anyone has to go for chemo, but there are types of chemo as well. There's different types. Some people do chemotherapy. It's a medication that they take at home. Mine was the traditional one. You go to the hospital, they plug it in here. I've still got darker veins here. They put it in and you sit there for a couple of hours, you read your magazine, they come around with tea and biscuits and it's a room full of bored people. It is that. It's literally that. And we sit there every 3 weeks and it makes you so sick. So it's that, Pink sings about how the medication makes you more sick. And it was that because I thought, I'm healthy and I'm well, but you're making me sick now. Yeah. You're making me into a cancer patient. I wasn't a cancer patient until you lot said, and now you're making me so sick. And that was the worst 6 months of my life. I would say by far the worst 6 months of my life. I was so sick. I couldn't eat. I couldn't function. You have no immune system. So you're protected. You have to be at home. Had to stay at home. But then your mental health's, so then you try and go out a little bit, but you're so unwell. Your stomach's playing up. You're running to the toilet. It's all of that.
How did that impact you with your little girl then?
It was so hard. So I remember that time just being on the sofa. I literally spent most of that time on the sofa. So the first week's the worst. Second week's a little bit better. By third
But
week,
you're back there anyway, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly. By third week, as you're feeling a little bit stronger, I'd be like, quick, let's do one trip to the park. Let's do something so that she feels. And then she started nursery at that time, and I remember walking to the nursery. The nursery is one road away from me, and I used to hold on to cars.
Oh, no.
I used to hold on to cars because I was so unwell. And then, you know, I'm like, I've got no, okay, no one can see my hair, but I've got no eyebrows and eyelashes. I look like a fat middle-aged man. It was so bad. And I'm thinking, it's the first time I'm going into school. Meeting at school. Yeah, literally, that's what I look like. And then you're on steroids, so you swell up.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, it's cancer patients meant to be skinny. And I was like, oh, this one's round as a balloon. But it was so, and then I used to draw on my eyebrows to go. I didn't even know there was eyebrow makeup. No one told me there's eyebrow makeup. Oh, that was tough. But it was trying to be mum.
Yeah.
She knew I was ill, and I was talking to her the other day because she was 2 and we've never really spoken about it. She's 10 now.
Yeah.
And so now I think before someone else says it, let her hear. So I'm saying, do you remember when Amma was ill? Do you remember when Amma's hair fell out? Do you remember when Amma was, you know, in hospital and all of that? So yeah, she doesn't know it's cancer.
But she,
So I don't know if that word she might associate differently. But if she does, and it is a conversation I need to have with her, that it's not scary as well. It's not a bad thing because Amma's okay now. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So it's that, but she was 2 and she'd get the coconut oil out and she'd be like, Amma, let me massage your bald head. And she'd draw it. And then she went to nursery and the first, I should have brought it with me, first family portrait she drew. Just laugh, Bobby, just laugh. Can you imagine? Her handsome dad, there's her with her hair and her dress.
Stop it,
Just a
man.
boiled egg. Literally, and it was the egg. And I've got it up on my wall. And look at her, the first portrait she draws. And I thought, her teachers must be thinking, what is it? Dad and his partner.
My 2 dads.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh, bless you,
so
Salman.
it's so funny. But it's those things. You got to laugh about it.
Yes, of course.
But it was such a hard
Yeah,
time.
but
And I
at
think,
that time,
Yeah, at
what
that
was you
time.
thinking?
Yeah.
Like, was you starting to prepare sort of like what you want, how you want her to grow up?
Yeah.
Do you know all that stuff? Does it go through your head?
There was, because the conversation of death, couldn't have that with my husband. He was just like, not talking about
Yeah.
it. Can't talk
Yeah, I
about
can
it. It's
imagine.
too
Yeah.
horrible. Don't want to think about it. He was so worried. He's a warrior anyway, you know, and he was very internalizing it and so on.
Yeah.
I remember having the only person I could talk to was my sister. And there was a few things I said to her, if things don't go well, it needs to be like this. And she was trying to give me hope, but also listening and saying, but part of me was like, do I now start writing my letters and my will? And, you know, and I remember certain things just kind of saying, oh, do you want it? Do you like it? Just take it. I started doing little things like that. And then, you know, I'm looking around thinking, should I tidy up a little bit? Should I?
Did you go and get it back now?
What's that?
When you rang the bell, did you go and get your stuff back?
Charity shop, can I have it back, please? That's my bad.
Oh
That was a
my
mistake.
God, you 2 hours.
Sorry guys, I made it.
Give me that back.
Oh my God.
Oh, so bad.
You lot are.
Chef's heart is breaking.
Man. Seriously, I'm not.
It's all right, Chef. It's all
It's
right.
quiet as I've seen her, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, I know.
Is there anything you
know.
want to ask, Chef?
It's all right. But okay, how did it impact you, Chef? Okay, think about it. You're my
'cause
cousin.
you're
You
cousin,
watched
isn't
me
it?
grow up. So you know, and
We,
all that.
you know, to be honest, right, I didn't know much on cancer.
Yeah.
And when we found out you did have it, it was a shock, but we didn't know how to approach you. I remember once you were home doing chemo or something, and my mum was saying that, listen, her immune system is very weak. Visitors, you know, like, you've got to be very careful. I still didn't know, like, what was that thing. And then we thought, okay, you know what, it's best to give her that time. But it's just like, I don't know, it's just a shock.
Yeah.
Like,
And
she's
so-
the
yeah.
youngest, you know what I'm saying? So I
That's
thought, oh my
it.
goodness me. And like you said, it's just your dad just passed. My dad passed away as well. And it was like full on, I think. And I think, oh my God, I don't know. We're just so shocked we were. We didn't know what
That's
to
it.
do.
It's so hard, isn't it? And you know, you don't know what to
but
do.
we didn't really come as much as we should have, I think. Or I don't
No,
know how
I
that worked.
think you guys were the right balance
Is
because
it?
you respected
Because
that. Because I said to
always
Mum,
think twice
Yeah,
before I do something.
yeah,
I think, oh my God, she's well. I'm going to give her time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go in. She'll call me.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? You guys were there. You were on the phone. You're messaging. I didn't sleep at night. And I remember
Sometimes,
Shaf's
yeah,
sister was
yeah.
always messaging me like 2 a.m. And I thought, this is the support I need. This is
Yeah.
the friend I need because I need someone to talk to
Yeah.
at 2 a.m. And we were just talking nonsense. You know, she
Yeah,
was
yeah, she
going
don't-
through stuff
yeah,
as
she
well.
couldn't go
So we had
sleep.
our chats and stuff. But no, I needed that because I said to my mum, I'm not allowed to have millions of guests.
Yes.
Do you get it?
It's
Like,
not-
I've got a massive family anyway, and then there's my in-laws, and
Yeah.
I know you guys want to come round.
No,
and I had to actually say, if the adults could only come and the children don't come because they're going to school and they they've got
No, but
germs.
that's how it should be though, because
Yeah.
it's your health. There's nothing wrong with it. So
exactly.
really, there's
but
nothing...
people get offended, Chef. That's
I
another
know.
thing.
No, but
Yeah.
that's
But
what people need to
that's
understand.
their issue.
That's it,
Yeah. But this is it,
exactly.
and then you think I don't need to hear that. Don't need to hear that you're offended because I
you
declined
don't need that extra
guests.
problem. Yeah, no.
And I didn't. I never used to pick up the phone and all
No.
that. I just needed to do what I needed
That's
to do.
it.
Few people would come, they'd cheer me up, whatever, or bring food, whatever, and that's all I needed actually.
Yeah.
So you stepped in when I needed you to, Chef. So don't ever feel guilty for don't ever feel good. No, but sometimes you do think, should I have done more? Should I have,
Yeah.
And really, honest truth, listen to the person who's saying,
That's it.
this is what I need.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. But
But it's a
yeah,
shocker.
so-
But alhamdulillah.
So did anyone like obviously step on eggshells around you and do anything, any faux pas or say anything ridiculous? Because it's Bengalis.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they did.
I'm actually writing notes to write a book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Are
so
you?
and it's going to take some time. For the last 7 years, I've been writing notes, and this is the first time. Like this year, I just started collating it all together. Lots of people walking on eggshells, and I think that can be offensive in its own because I'm not going to mention cancer around you. What? What are you here for? So there's that element of it. Then there's those who are, oh, does it hurt? My pregnancy hurt too. Yeah, so I had a lot of pregnancy comparisons, and I was like, my whole ever chances of having children is also gone, and you comparing pregnancy with my cancer is not really the right thing to do. And then the offensive comments. Oh, there was a lot of offensive comments. Yeah, I was talking about. Oh, I didn't expect you to look like that. Yeah.
I think, like you say...
So-and-so's wife's, she died from cancer. She didn't look like this before she died of cancer. Oh, I had that, yeah. And then, I know someone who had breast cancer and they died.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's the classic one.
Bengalis, man.
Yeah, that's the
Did
most...
anyone
No, but
try
is
to
it-
get Nick married?
Oh, no, not in front of me.
No, I'm surprised, I'm surprised. They're not already looking for the wife. Because you've got a little girl, you need someone to bring her up.
Oh, no. That didn't come up. I think, alhamdulillah, yeah.
I'm quite surprised at that one.
Unless the
Knowing our
conversation
community.
conversation happened and I
behind,
didn't hear it. Do you
yeah.
get it? But it was things that people said to me, and I was like, really? Really, seriously? Especially the one of, I knew someone who had that. Yeah, they died. Yeah. Give me
No,
the
but
whole
was it
stories.
just the Asian people saying that, or is it
Mainly. No, I would say mainly.
Is it because they don't know what to? I don't know. I don't know.
I think Bengali people, unfortunately,
Don't
is a
think
lack of
because
education, and therefore that equals lack of tact.
It's just been good. I think
Yeah.
it's the South
I've had it,
Asian.
with some of the
I
trauma
think it's the
we've
South
had.
Asians. They don't like to talk about death.
Yeah.
Even though in our religion we're supposed to be
We're supposed to,
reminded
yes.
of death
Yeah.
so that we be better people. But illnesses like this, they don't
Yeah.
want to talk about it, do they?
But
They
it's the lack of
do.
tact. That's all
Yeah,
it's about.
it is.
But then if you said that to them, they'd cry and they'd let the whole world know,
Yeah.
I went through an ingrown
But then what did
toenail
Sam-
and you didn't come round with Lucozade and grapes. You'd get all that. You would
How
get
many
all
Lucozades
I
that.
don't know, Sal. An ingrown toenail is quite bad.
So, how did you feel when they said? Did you say anything back or anything?
I think most of the time I was so gobsmacked. So at one point, I think I became very withdrawn. I just thought, I
them,
can't
just
say it.
shut
And then
them
also, you're at a point where you're thinking, I don't want to get into fights right now because I'm dying and I'm preparing for my grave and I need to just do my Allah Billah and
Yeah.
just, but I was at that point because I thought, I'm struggling to pray, couldn't fast that year. And I thought, all the things that make you more religious and closer to death, I can't do. Everyone was like, wake up for tahajjud. And I was like, mate, I can't even stand up. And you're telling me to wake up for
they say
tahajjud.
that as well.
And people, and that came from a good place, do more. But I was like, I can barely do my fard. And I was doing it from bed. And sometimes I was doing, if you can't do it, sit down, you do it lying down. You do
yeah.
all of that. But I was at a point where I thought, if I say something, I'm going to take you down and I'm going to close that door and you're never coming back in my house. But I can't afford to do that because I might die. And I think that's what kept me, maybe is a blessing because it kept me but there was a lot of anger that had built up. So as I was getting better, I was so angry. I was angry for a very long time at a lot of people. But the thing with anger is you're angry, you're feeling angry.
But they don't know.
They
They
don't
got
know.
no clue because when they come round, I'm still making you a cup of tea and
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And giving you a biscuit. So they got no clue. But I was like, "Rrr." And then over the years, I've had to say, Sal, heal. Do you know what I mean?
But didn't you ever express your anger by saying that, listen, I don't know, by telling them,
Had to
you
get
know, that's
lost.
silly.
Get lost in it.
I couldn't say much, But I don't know, people getting offended over non-angry things. So I just say, if I get angry, like,
How did Nick feel about this?
so again, similar, but he's a very quiet person. He's a very internal person. So I think a lot of his stuff was just internal. So he was brewing internally, but then can't say anything because don't want Sal to get more upset. So it was a lot of protection. And I think he's still like that. 8 years later, alhamdulillah. Like I was saying in Nordic Walk, I go, there's some people, like one of the ladies, she went through quite a big accident. And she was saying, as I was getting better, didn't want to go gym, but I had people saying, get up and go. Do you know what I mean? Get up,
Sometimes you
do
need
it.
that,
Here's the
you know,
dumbbells, let's do it.
Yeah.
My husband, on the other hand, is if I say I'm not feeling too good, let me wrap you up in a humor. And, don't move, my love. What can I bring you? And and that's his way of showing love, but it's not good for me. Do you get it? So I've had to say, when I say I don't want to go out, I don't want to meet my friends, you used to say, Sal, get your glad rags on and get out. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So it's different people's way of protecting you, I guess. But yeah, he was into, and a recent post I read about, they're called co-survivors, is the person who's with you in that journey. No one focuses on them.
Yeah.
No one focuses. And there was times when I sat there and I thought, I would rather be me than be him right now. Because I don't know how I would have felt thinking my husband is going through this. I couldn't deal with
you
that.
didn't have the energy though, did you, like to think about anybody?
I was still thinking
I know
about
you were still
everybody else.
thinking about
Yeah,
it,
but
but you couldn't
I didn't want to be
No,
him.
I know, yeah, I
Shaf.
know.
I didn't want
Yeah,
him to be
yeah,
ill.
yeah.
I could have done everything for him, but I couldn't have coped with knowing my husband's the one who's ill. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather be the one who's ill. I'd rather be the one, who might die, I guess. But I didn't want him to be. And I thought, that's harder. That's harder to watch.
Yeah.
And
Someone
that's
that
your
you
future.
love.
Yeah, you love. And that's your future
deteriorating,
as
yeah.
well. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you're saying, how did you prepare for it? In his head, he was thinking, well, how do I prepare for it if she doesn't make it? What do I do with a 2-year-old that Sal does everything for? How do I cope? How do I go to work and raise a child? And, what do I do? It's really hard, isn't it?
So going back to how your life was before and then how it was post cancer, what are you doing differently?
Yeah, I think life is never the same. I think my health is not the same. So that's the part I miss. I'm just like, when I'm like, are you better now? I'm like, yeah, alhamdulillah.
But you're still on medication.
I'm on a lot of medication. There's a lot of side effects. My body feels horrible, right? But hey, you deal with it. That's your new normal. But I think I'm embracing life. I think that's the difference. Sometimes I think I'm not embracing it enough, but that's life as well. But I feel like I take each day as it comes. I grab opportunities now, whereas before I was like, I'll do it later, or it wasn't as important. I'm just like, I'm grabbing things, I'm doing things. And my biggest motto is good needs to come from it.
Yeah.
And I think like even the MSA stuff, my whole purpose for life now is I need to help others. I need to do things. I need to serve my community. I need to do things that are pleasing to Allah. I need to leave an impact. I need to leave a legacy. And I need to do it sooner rather than later as well, because that's not guaranteed. And that's the one thing with cancer is once you've had it, obviously the chance of recurrence is high. It's there. Yeah. That's a reality we're facing. And I say to people, it might come back. Oh, no, don't say it. It's not going to come back. No, it's most likely, a very high probability that it might come back. May Allah give us good health. And may that day be very late in the line, and that's all we can pray for. But that's a reality. So you think, you know what, do things now. Just grab it. So it's that reminder and I think we all need that reminder.
Yeah.
Maybe not in this way, but it's that, do it now because later's not guaranteed, isn't it? Yeah.
No, you're such an inspiration to me personally. I see you as a superwoman. Like people moan about silly little things and you're thinking there's this lady that's come out on the other side and is grabbing opportunities, is doing the best she can for herself, but her family too, and the community. So I think that's a really, really good role model to have in our lives. And
But you guys have helped me be who I am today as well. Do you know what I mean? Like seriously. Oh, but that's going to get me emotional. So I'll thank you guys off screen. Okay. Oh.
Then anything else you want to say? Is there a message or anything you want to give out to
I think main thing is don't think you're too young. That's massive mistake. And I think there's a big campaign at the moment trying to push. Mammograms are usually after 50.
Yeah.
They're actually pushing for 40s now.
But there's a way of checking, isn't
yeah,
it? So,
yeah.
I mean, it's really important. I don't think our community does it enough.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But it's really important to do your monthly checks, isn't it? And notice any changes.
And you know what it is? And the thing is, it's not, oh, I'm ill and I'm going doctors. No, you're normal. Yeah. You might have lumpy, bumpy bits and bobs. That might be your normal. Know if it's different. You know, and you know what it is? Our Muslim community, I know people who shower with their clothes on. Like, what is that, right? I don't know. Maybe there's some Islamic thing to it. I don't know. Take your clothes off. Stand in front of a mirror if you have to. When you're in the shower, feel everything.
read your dua
Stick
and
your
that's-
fingers
yeah.
into places and know you're normal and think, you know what, my leg wasn't like this. My breast wasn't like this. Like, feel you're normal. If it doesn't feel right, get it checked out. Don't be sure. Yeah.
Shower with clothes.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I need to come back to that.
Yeah.
What?
That's how modest they are, Bobby, okay? That's how... What do you mean? You don't shower with your clothes on?
Oh my god, this is genius. You get to have a shower and wash your clothes.
They use
not
ball.
doing it right.
They use ball 2-in-1 instead of.
Electrical
They're lovely.
Yeah. Oh, my
Yeah, no,
God.
but it's really important. I think
so
we need to
important.
talk about this
And don't
more in our
ignore
community.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we need to
we
talk
don't
about
ignore
it.
it.
We need to, like, even going to the doctors, then a lot of women are like, well, I'm not taking my clothes off
Yeah,
the doctor.
but even
Do
when the
it.
doctor, like the first nurse challenged you back and said,
Yeah.
"Don't worry about it," and
Yeah.
just sidelined you, isn't it?
Yeah,
She
dismissed me. Yeah,
she
exactly.
dismissed you.
That's it.
If you don't feel comfortable with that, I think it's
Yeah.
really important that you challenge back as well.
Exactly.
You know, like Sal said, you know your own body.
Yeah.
That's
If
it.
it doesn't feel right, then just go and get a second opinion or
Second
something.
opinion.
And
I
you know
was
what?
gonna
99% of the chance at your time is going to be, it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
even if they send you to the clinic and you're scared and you're worried for that week, you go in, get a mammogram, it's fine, alhamdulillah. But if you are that small percentage like me, get it checked, because the chances of survival when you're diagnosed earlier is higher than when you're diagnosed later. And I think that's the bit people don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not about, oh, when I find out, I'll find out. Or when it gets really bad, I'll find out and I'll deal with it. No, if you detect it earlier, there's more they can do and there's more chance that you can survive. So I know, qadar of Allah, but you've got a better kind of outlook. So get it checked out, be aware, be heard, don't be shy to talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
have those conversations,
Read
isn't
on
it?
it, get some knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. And we are, sadly, in terms of cancer, the Asian community is the minority.
yes.
Every time I used to sit in a room, there was never a young person, there was never
Yeah,
an Asian
you're
person
saying.
or a Muslim person. But it can be you.
Yeah.
It was me, so it can be anyone.
One thing I'll do, I'll drop some NHS links in the description. But was there any charitable organisations that you seeked out or that you would like for us to put in the description, just if anyone wants to give?
Macmillan are great. What are they called?
Cancer Research?
Feel Good. No, it's called Look Good, Feel Better. They're really good. They're my two favourites. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, Sal, for being so open and honest
thanks,
about your
Sal.
journey. It's nice to hear it, and I think lots of people out there will benefit from
Yes,
this.
definitely.
So thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you for watching the Empower Her Play podcast. You can download all of our previous episodes from any platform that you use. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you.